It is the technology show where we translate geek into regular speak. I'm actually not alone this week. In fact, let me bring my guest of the week into the studio. Hey, Alex, how's it going?
Hey, Brett. Very good. How are you?
Good, good. I'm looking behind you, mate. I see a little Yeti box, the blue Yeti microphone. I can see,
Yes.
is that a Steve Jobs caricature
That is
over
a
there?
Steve Jobs caricature holding.
Love it.
Actually, what happened to the iPhone? He's supposed to be holding an. Oh, he is holding an iPhone. See that there?
He is.
He's holding a
Right
little
there.
iPhone.
So I created a ticker for you today. I put a banner up for the show. Have a look at that. This week's guest is Alex, tech journalist, commentator, and probably a bigger Apple fan than me, if that is possible. That's what it says on the ticker, and I think you've just proved it. Welcome to the show.
There you go. Thank you very much. Great to be here. Yeah, I've got a lot of other things to put on these shelves behind me, but I thought that was, a good place to start.
I love it. It's definitely more creative than my background, which is a
You've got coffee cups there, or
like candles and a sculpture, and
I also
really,
got this many
really
years ago.
Stuff.
It looks like a rocket.
So
But
cool! It's a pen.
Yeah.
I have got a problem with my LinkedIn stream. It says it's dropped me off, and you and I chatting purely because I was on the LinkedIn stream. Oh well, let's see what happens. We got view on LinkedIn, and this is the joys of modern technology, right? So
yeah.
I'm going into LinkedIn while we do this. I'm trying to multitask. But
Isaac Asimov, I was just saying, Isaac Asimov was being interviewed by David Letterman. I watched something on YouTube, and it was in like 1980, and he talked about how one day we'd all have our own TV channels, and it's a great shame he wasn't around to see that become reality, but it has. And with your own TV channel comes technical difficulties, which you are currently trying to solve.
I've had it quite often. It's amazing. In fact, I tried to get Aurier on the show and couldn't connect with him with tech. And I mean, we're all techie people. You're a techie person. I suppose it is what it is. But just for the listeners, or viewers, I think in this new format that I'm in now, for last week, Alex was the one that was sending me all the questions. And I was having problems with my LinkedIn feed last week. I couldn't see it was your name as well. I hate to admit when I'm wrong, but I am big enough and old enough and ugly enough to do so. But you've clearly pointed out to me during the course of the week, and hence the reason why we thought we'd get you on the show. I was having a moan at Apple last week because I couldn't get my washing hands feature to work on my watch. We were doing a little bit of live show. And unfortunately, you've made me feel, there's the new one. You've made me feel very jealous and inferior now. My tech is old, which is not words that come out of my mouth very regularly. I'm waiting for my wife to now turn around and go, oh God, he's about to go and buy new tech. But yeah, my watch is clearly too old to do what I was trying to do. So Apple, apologies. It wasn't you. I still love you. I'm still a fanboy, not as big a fanboy as Alex is. Alex, let's kick it off there, mate. Let's go with the new watch. You showed it off. I am jealous. You and I do get together every now and then, and I'm going to have to steal it from you. But take us through it.
Yeah, this is the new Apple Watch Series 6, and it looks the same as the Series 4 and the Series 5 before. It's got the same large screen.
1 second? I have exactly the same strap as you. I've noticed you using the exact same strap as me. Weird out of all the choices you have.
Yeah, well, look, I've got this particular strap in blue, in red, in purple. Actually, these are actually fake ones. I bought them in Hong Kong for about $20 Australian each. The real Milanese loops are a lot. Well, I've told that to Apple and at an event, and they said, "Oh, Alex." But look, I mean, in Hong Kong, they have the fake shops selling, the accessories, fake accessories, right out almost, 1 street away from the Apple store in Central in Hong Kong. They're
I know exactly what you're doing, but I've been there.
They're incredible. With their chutzpah, they will just. Well, this is in Central where they've got. Actually, this is where they've got Times Square, the Hong Kong version Times Square, and there's an Apple store there, and there's also one at the IFC Mall, I think, but which I've been to. I've been to those. I've got relatives in Hong Kong, so I'm lucky to go there. But the real Milanese loop is quite expensive, but because they were so inexpensive, and you can buy them on eBay quite inexpensively as well. have seen them there, and you can see that it's starting to the color is coming off. I don't know if that would happen to a genuine one, but when that's underneath your wrist or your arm, you can't see. You can't tell that that particular thing is happening. And I love the magnetic one, but I'm also quite enamored of the new loops that they have, which is just one loop that has no moving parts at all. Apple has said that the regular loop. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the regular loop is something where Apple has said that you've got a measuring tool that you can print out and put around your wrist, and if your wrist, they say, goes between like a size 7 and a size 8, they're telling you to get the smaller one, because on the normal loop that isn't the braided loop, the word is that from Apple, that this will over time expand and get bigger. So that's why it's important to get the slightly smaller loop, and the loop itself needs to be on relatively tight, so that when you do the blood oxygenation sensor reading, or any of the readings that require the sensors to be on your on your wrist, that they're on pretty tightly. If it's a bit loose, then those sensors won't particularly work. Now, Apple also said, from articles that I've read, that the braided loop, which is about, in Australia, it's about $100 more than the regular loop. The regular loop, I think, is 69 Australian dollars. From memory, I was looking at the prices online. The braided nylon loop is about $169, but that one is not supposed to get larger over time. I mean, look, how does anybody really know? I mean, I'm sure they can do accelerated tests, and the braided loop does look cool. I actually got the blue watch. You can see it's blue there.
Oh,
so that's
okay.
the new blue color. Yep. And sort of, I was torn between red and blue. I love both those colors. I have a red strap as well, and the red looks really good. You can see that I also have a protective case on the top. This one actually has glass over here. That's glass. And this part here is plastic. A lot of the cases are plastic all the way around. Glass is meant to give you a better touch sensitivity, because often I find if I have the plastic cover
on my case.
Yeah.
So my case works on a magnetic tool. It splits open and it's glass to give me the touch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, often the cases that you get, those are glass as well, but I actually prefer the Tech 21 screen protectors that are sort of plastic, because I never have a problem with the touch sensitivity on my phone. I only ever have a problem with the touch sensitivity on my watch. Every now and then you got to tap it again, or tap it a couple of times. So this is from a company called Defender 360. I can actually go and get the box. It's in the other room. And I got that in Hong Kong as well, this particular cover. And this cover I actually purchased for the Apple Watch Series 5. But the Series 6, you can use the same accessories, the same bands, the same screen protectors, but the screen is definitely 2.5 times brighter in the sunlight. I've had both the Series 4 and the 5 on, and both of them in the sun at the same time. And I noticed that when I sort of tilt the watch without activating the watch face to go brighter, that when the sun is shining on the watch face, you can definitely see that on the new Series 6, it is brighter. And there's a key benefit from that. With your current watch and with the Series 4 and Series 5 and the new SE watch, which don't have always on, well, the Series 5 has an always on screen, of which this is brighter. But all the other watches, including Series 5, when you tap the screen or you push the digital crown, it will light the screen up. And then you can tap on one of the complications or the digital crown for it to then take another action, whether it's to go into the complication or to bring up the menu or whatever it might be. On the Apple Watch Series 6, if I have it here and I put it into the, now it's probably because it's off my wrist when I do that, and it's going off altogether. But normally when you do that, when it's on your wrist, it is still showing you the screen. Let me see if I can just do that now and put in my code. And anyway, the main thing is that when you tap on one of the complications or the digital crown, when it's in the power save mode, it actually then goes straight into that action, which saves you a step because the screen is brighter and it works. So, that is a nifty little time saver. So here, for example, I have the watch on the power save mode. Indoors, it doesn't really look that much brighter, but certainly outdoors, it definitely is. But if I tap on one of the complications, it just goes straight in. I mean,
oh, wow.
I've got to see if I can do it again.
You could actually
I've got to see if I can do it. Well, let me try that. So I'll put it into the power save mode, and if I tap on one of the see, that's, well, straight away that also went into the mode to change the display. So anyway, you'll definitely notice it when you have a Series 6 watch and you tap on something. It doesn't have to wake the screen up first. The screen is bright enough for it, and the system is smart enough to know that you meant to tap on that. And so that's a little time saver. You also have the blood oxygenation sensor, which, of course, in the age of COVID, I mean, they talked about Trump having low blood oxygen, which is one of the reasons why he needed to go to hospital, so they say. And I mean, also, I just simply love the fact that I can have, the different watch face screens. I mean, it's just so smooth to be able to do that. I just love being able to quickly flip.
My old dinosaur watch.
Well, but everyone has that, I know, but I'm just saying that's one of the cool things I love about the Apple Watch. No, I've got that. I had that at the end, and I've got a whole bunch of different faces. But this down here is the blood oxygenation sensor. I'm not sure if it's going to work when I'm holding my it's telling me the unsuccessful measurement, because you're supposed to. I'll just try it again. You're supposed to put your wrist down and hold it steady.
Yeah, obviously that makes sense.
Yeah, it wants me to hold my wrist horizontally. I'll just see if I can do it this way. Try and trick it. And it takes a good 15 seconds. So you can see there, and you can see the little swirling.
It's counting down. It's reading. Yeah.
Icon. Yeah, counting down.
Do you think it's an important feature, Alex? Like, are lots of people going to use it? Are you going to wake up in the morning and go, I need to check my blood oxygen level, or how did I survive?
So this is telling me that I've got 96% blood oxygen, which means, so if it's between 95 and 100. Look, other watches have it. Apple was rumored to be getting it before. It's one of those nice to have features. Do you need it? No. If you're happy with your Series 3 or 4 or 5 Apple Watch, then there's no particular, unless you must have the latest and greatest, there's no particular need to jump out and immediately go for the 6. But, if you do have an older watch, I mean, like a Series 3 or even older still, it's definitely a great opportunity to upgrade. The chip inside is the S6. It's 20% faster. The apps load up 20%, quicker. And, it's something that I've been checking on my watch. And also it's checking the, it seems to be doing its own little background blood oxygenation test, because it'll tell you it checked it a few minutes ago or an hour ago when I, didn't manually check it myself. But just being able to do things more quickly, it's never a bad thing. And it is nicer to be able to, during the day, look at my watch and, I can see it more clearly. So
yeah. Here's a question for you, because for the people that don't know Alex, so Alex is on radio. He writes for RTY. I mean, Alex is involved in tech. Let's just put it out there straight away. But the one thing about Alex is when you meet Alex, he will always show you a very cool trick, just straight off the bat. Like most people go, hey, I'm Brett. Hey, nice to meet you. Alex will go, oh, you've got an Apple Watch. Let me show you this. And that's how Alex and I met one of the first times. So one of the tricks which we talked about last week was the list. Here's a question for you. When I go, I don't want to say the words, the waking up words, which starts with an S, because otherwise all my things are going to start beeping. On my watch, let's say I want to make a phone call. So I go, hey, person, please call Alex. Do you know how to transfer that across to the phone? Because I think that's a tip a lot of people don't get. Or I want to set a timer on my watch, but I'd like to see the timer on my phone. Is that possible? Have you come across that?
I don't know if it's possible on your phone. I mean, normally when I've got, I can see, Siri is listening to me on my phone over there.
Yeah.
I know that when I have activated something on my phone, then my watch can ring. But Apple is trying to keep things both connected and separate. To swap phone calls. To swap phone calls, it's easy. If you've called on something, you can just open up your phone, and normally you'll see that there's a little green thing in the top corner, and you tap on that, and
that's right.
And it should.
The timer for me is the main one. So I'll give an example. Let's say I go to a parking lot, right? And it's 2 hours free parking. So I'll go, hey, mention the name, set a timer for 1 hour and 45 minutes, and I will quit. But I'm doing it like this. I'm talking to my, to my wrist.
Yeah.
I'm on my phone. I'd like to be able to just check the time on my phone without having to go, because the problem with the watch, not the problem, but the way you have to then go find the timer, look for it. Whereas I know I can just swap down from the top and there's my timers. That's how I've set up my home screen.
The way,
which I might add, I like home screen.
Sure. The way that I got around that problem is to give myself is to make sure that on my main watch face, you can see in the bottom right hand corner I have a timer there, and I can if that's actually the stopwatch, but I can swipe over to a watch face that has the timer on it. Then when I'm looking at my watch and I'm not in that particular app, on the actual watch face itself is the timer. And that's the easiest way of doing it. I mean, it's just one of the complications on your watch, and you make if you use that a lot, you just make sure that it's one swipe away so that it's no trouble to do it. But the other thing is that when you're wearing the watch, you don't have to say, hey, S person. You just I've got to make sure I put my set the timer for 10 seconds, right? And so I've asked it to set the timer for 10 seconds, and probably also continuing to speak.
A question's come through for you, because I think you were going to show it and then I stopped you. Have you set up the emoji watch face?
Oh, I didn't realize that was a question. Yeah, I did set that up. Let me go and have a look and find it. I think it's right at the very end.
I can't do that on my watch. It's obviously a watch 6 thing. I don't think the 4, 5.
I think I deleted. Well, I've got a version 4, but I'm not sure. Let me just bring up the emoji face, because I did set it up, but I deleted it because I wanted to set up a nicer emoji, and it wasn't the most important thing in my life at that particular moment in time. But here we go. So here's Memoji, right? So that's the Memoji face, and if I tap on that, let's see what it's going to bring up. So I didn't tap on it. It sort of just moved and something.
It brings up a different emotion each time, though, doesn't it?
Yeah. So let me tap on that. Well, it brings up a different Memoji expression.
Yeah.
So this one, you can see it's got my face on it, right? And if I tap on that, then I can.
There we go. Did the wink.
it will do something different each time, and I'm pretty sure if I,
cool.
it's in power save, and if I, try and raise my wrist, I mean, you've got to wait for it to go into sort of power save mode again. But yeah, the Memoji face is just a bit of silly fun. I mean, it's there, and
look, I think with the younger generation, maybe the question came through from someone in that category. But I think it's definitely it's novel. It does play a little bit to narcissism as well, that you can have you on your face.
I think you can put other people's emojis there too. I don't know. I've got to check. But every time you tap on the watch face, it does definitely give you a different.
Yeah,
moves.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's
definitely not on the older ones. It's only on the new ones.
Right. Okay.
Alex, other interesting news beyond Watch 6. I know that the 13th of October is going to be a special day. It's in Australia, the 14th of October.
At 4 a.m.
What, 4 in the morning or 6 in the morning, whatever it normally is.
4 in the morning. 4 in the morning, Australian Eastern Daylight Time. I mean, we just went through daylight saving, putting the clocks forward by an hour. So when we had the launch of September, it was 3 a.m. But yes, that is the 4 new iPhones, all expected to have 5G. Although some have said maybe the cheapest.
I don't think so.
I'm sure they'll all have 5G.
I don't think so. I mean, looking at how price competitive if you look at who's it? I think it was Optus. Their latest campaign is all about the fact that they will price beat any 5G device. Blah blah blah. So, given the cost sensitivity, I think on 5G, I find it highly unlikely that Apple will bring out 5G in all of it. Look, Apple does what Apple does, right? But I do think we'll still see a 4G phone in the mix in the new format.
Well, I mean, I thought you were trying to argue originally that they would all have 5G, and I was going to say, yeah, that could be the case, because you see, even mid-range tier phones, mid-tier phones coming with 5G. So if those guys can do it, but then Apple does like to have different tiers. But there's no reason why Apple won't continue to sell the iPhone 11, for example, or they'll still be selling the 2020 iPhone SE. So it's not as if Apple is going to not have 4G phones in its portfolio. Perhaps the cheapest iPhone won't have 5G, but then the cheapest iPhone, when I'm talking about the iPhone 12, that's supposed to be the iPhone 12 mini. and that's supposed to be a 5.4-inch iPhone, which will be slightly smaller than the 5.8-inch iPhone 10, and it will, in theory, be that full screen, edge to edge, except for the notch, smaller iPhone that some people just have craved ever since the iPhone 5 or the original iPhone SE, which was that smaller handheld.
It was a great
phone.
format.
My mother
When you look at it
iPhone
now and you hold the two together, it's like, how did I ever use this thing, right? Like when you put the two side by side, it's
Look, I remember when the iPhone first came out, and the biggest Nokias had a 2-inch screen. There were devices that have 2.5-inch, 3-inch, pocket PC. I had a pocket PC Windows phone, which was an iPhone before the iPhone, although nowhere near as elegant. But when the iPhone first came out, it was 3.5 inches, and that was huge. It was the big phone. And I remember when Dell had the Dell Streak, 5 inches. I've still got it somewhere, and that had Android 2. I remember the first Samsung Galaxy tablet, the 7-inch tablet, which was an Android 2 device. It was before Honeycomb, and it could make phone calls. It was 7 inches. And but now, when my mother uses the iPhone SE, I mean, it's just too small. I want her to go to a bigger phone, but she says, "Oh no, bigger phones are too heavy." And as an older person, all those little grams in your handbag can count. So I'm hoping that the iPhone 12 mini, if it is real, which we'll find out next week, really is that iPhone 5-esque device, but with an edge-to-edge screen that gives you the extra space you need. But I'm an iPhone 11 Pro Max person. I had the iPhone 10, and it was just too small. It just wasn't wide. It was too narrow, And the other thing that pisses me off about the 10 generation and above is that you cannot turn your screen sideways to look at all the different apps. On the iPhone 6 Plus, 6S, 7, and 8 Plus, you could even have the home screen this way. And although you can have any number of settings like that, you can have many different things in that particular way. Unfortunately, you can't have the home screen, which annoys me because you can do it on an iPad and you could do it on the previous phones. And whether they'll change that for iPhone 12 or not, I don't think so, which is a shame.
You'll find out on the 14th.
Yeah, but it's a small niggle because these are already using iOS 14, and there'd be no reason. I mean, the only one thing about the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Sorry, quiet, Siri. The only other thing is that this is 6.5 inches, whereas the 12 Pro Max is supposed to be 6.7 inches. So maybe on the Max, which is the one they're supposed to keep all their top-notch technology for, maybe that's the one we'll see the 120 hertz ProMotion screen we see on the latest iPad Pros. Maybe that's the one. And look, one rumor or two rumors that no one has spoken about, I wrote about them today on IT Wire in my piece about the iPhones, is that where is the ability to use the pencil on iPhone? Now that iPhone or iPad OS can accept handwriting anywhere in the interface that you can type. I want to see it come for the phone. And unfortunately, Apple has to make that decision. Now, the new iPhones are meant to be the same as the iPad Air and the iPad Pros, which is the same as the the original the original iPhone 4 and iPhone 5, and that's having this flat
which I like
area.
I really do like that,
as opposed to the the rounded edge that we saw on the iPhone 6.
I found this rounded edge when it first came out on the 6. If I held it, it felt like it was going to squeeze out of my hand. Like I had to have a cover, otherwise I was going to drop my phone. That's
why I always had the cover. So, in theory, if they do have an iPhone with a flat edge, then this could magnetize to the top as it does. But of course,
you realize what you're doing, right?
Magnetize. Yeah, but the area to magnetize is obviously much smaller on an iPhone, and you've got the buttons in the way. There's a button there, and there's volume buttons there. So unless the pencil had indentations for that, you couldn't clip it on and thus magnetically charge. I mean, maybe they could make a smaller battery and a smaller pencil. And I know that on the Samsung tablets, you can clip it onto the back, and they have a little on the cover. There's a little divot there that allows you to clip it like that, which is quite clever. It also makes it very hard to lose the pencil.
What you trying to create there, mate, is called a Samsung Note with the stylus built into it.
which has the stylus down the bottom. But I mean, Apple, it probably isn't going to do that because they don't have the space, and B, people are going to shove things in there. It's better not to have that. I mean, one of the reasons why Apple never put micro SD in its iPhones is because people would get the cheapest possible SD card and then wonder why their phone was slow. Also, those little cards have a propensity, if you pop them out the wrong way, to just and fly out somewhere. And there goes all of your photos and videos in a busy airport, and it's gone. And but Apple's able to control the speed, the quality, and also not have things jammed inside, which can be a problem. So I'm hoping that one of the surprises, and they've guessed this for years, it hasn't happened yet, is that the iPhone 12 will finally get the pencil. And secondly, the other thing was, I'm trying to think what the other thing was now. There was a second thing that I wanted them to do. Oh, the second thing is that with the new iPad Air, the power button on the top, anyone that's watched the keynote knows that the iPad Air's power button, which is here on this is the iPad Pro power button. Well, on the iPad Air, it is much bigger, and it's got a fingerprint ID, touch ID sensor in there.
Yep.
And so in theory, I don't think they're going to do it, but in theory, if the iPhone 12 has a flat top, they could put a fingerprint sensor there, as well as having Face ID.
But that's going to both, though, Alex. Well, and I'm sorry to cut you off on that, but I've got a TCL, the 10 Pro, which I use as my Android phone. And with Alcatel's made by TCL, and Alcatel's the sponsor of my show, so I do have an affinity. And I must say, I'm the first person to call out a product when I don't like it, but I do like my Pro. I play all my games on it. The screen's amazing, but it's got both. It's got a fingerprint in the screen, which it's not unique. There's a few brands that do it. Samsung's done that, etc. And it's got Face Unlock. I don't use both. I use the fingerprint because as soon as I touch my phone, it glows, it lights up, and I put my finger there. And I haven't even turned on the Face Unlock. Now, on my iPhone, I don't have fingerprint. I only have Face Unlock, and that's what I use. I don't think I would set up both, and I can't think of a reason why I would. Like,
I can tell you a reason. Yeah, 100%. An immediate reason why.
Mask.
Yeah.
COVID.
Well, that's one reason. I mean, you could also, simply put your hand in your pocket and, put your finger on the sensor and it's unlocked something. But if you have your phone off and you ask Siri to do something, like to open an app or to do something that requires your phone to be unlocked, Siri will say, you need to unlock your phone first. Well, if your phone is in your pocket, if your phone is in your pocket, you've got to take it out and you've got to look at it. But if you could just put your hand in your pocket, put your finger over the sensor, bang, it's unlocked. And I mean, there are just various scenarios where that would be handy. So look, it's just one of those things. I don't think Apple will do it, but I hope. Well, but face masks as well. I mean, one of the things that Apple did with iOS 13.5, I think it was, or 4, was to make it so that when you were wearing a mask, you didn't have to wait that extra half second or second for the Face ID to realize, oh, hang on, I can't see your face. It sort of instantly brings up the the unlock code that you've got to type in. Yeah, passcode. And so that at least made wearing the mask.
When you go outside an Apple store, they take your temperature, they give you a mask, they ask you for a blood test and probably want to do a DNA swab just to go in. When I went in, I needed to show them something on my phone that required Face Unlock. And it was weird. It was like, do you mind if I pull my mask down to Face Unlock? They said, well, you have to, I said, well, I'm just asking because you made me wear this damn thing when I walked in. So it was like one of those awkward moments where I'm like, and then quickly put it back on again, and the person actually took a step back while I was, so they got those really nice brown tables with all the stuff laid out. He was standing next to me, and as soon as I did that, he kind of like instinctively moved a meter to the left, just to move away from me. I unlocked, I put my face mask back on, and I showed him the phone, and he stepped back in again to carry on. And I just thought, what was funny about that at the time, maybe funny is not the right word, but I had touched the phone. So I've breathed on the phone. I've touched the phone. He steps away. Now I'm giving him my phone to touch as well. So if I've breathed on it, he's touching it, I mean, I suppose you do what you can, right? But Face Unlock and Fingerprint Unlock actually makes sense in this COVID world. And let's be honest, it's not going away in the next 6 months or a year. So that actually does make sense. To have the finger, yeah. Okay,
well,
and for paying as well, you can't pay without Face Unlock.
Well, no, you can. You just got to type in the passcode. Well, I mean, I've been in the shop many times,
but I'm saying,
and you got to type in. Fingerprint would speed that whole process up. I mean, look, in those cases, I use my Apple Watch and I just double tap it, and it comes up with the Bendigo Bank card that I have there. And I just tap it and bang. So, I mean, that does make life easier. But two things. I mean, if you look at Kickstarter and Indiegogo, there's any number of different projects, and there's been a few transparent masks I bought. And I'm waiting to arrive still to arrive. But 6 masks from a company called Pure Me, Purme, and they have them as black or white, but also see-through. And they're not the only ones. But part of their spiel is that it's Face ID compatible. I've also bought this silver grip gloves, which again I'm waiting to arrive. They're copper with 0.999 10 micron thick of silver plating, and they emit silver and copper ions, which are known to be antiviral, antibacterial. And obviously the gloves make, zero promises to kill anything. But, when you're wearing them, they're saying you don't have to put hand sanitizer on. It's compatible with touching your phone. And apparently it won't make your hands all sweaty like latex gloves can do. And so, I've purchased a few different things, various gadgets to protect you from, to sanitize your mask. I mean, one of the original ones that I purchased was these boxes, which I got for about $35 at the time. They went up to about $80, but they've come down in price again. And inside there, you've got lights on either side, the UVC lights. And then it's in the other room, but I also bought this from Ding Li, and it's a portable UVC sanitizer bag from a company called Homedics. And so it looks like this, and you can put your phone vertically. Well-known health brand. You can put your phone vertically inside. You can see also the phone is vertical there, and you can see there's lights on both that side and this side. And it takes 1 minute to sanitize the front and back of your phone, and it's got enough battery charge inside for 17 cleans during a day. Whereas these boxes all require you to plug in a USB. So you can carry this around with a USB battery, but it's very bulky. Whereas this bag is very cool. But off Kickstarter, I purchased 2 similar devices to this, with the outside of the bag being antibacterial / antiviral. This has no particular antibacterial or antiviral coating. So in theory, you take your virus-laden hands to touch this, to put your mask inside to sanitize it. And then, you're supposed to wipe this with little wipes. But the amount of ingenuity in trying to protect us in the virus-laden world is pretty amazing. And I've purchased a few of these things so I can share them with the public and let people know, and hopefully inspire other people to make them, because this is what we need.
Well, we're getting towards the end of the show, but I think what's really important, well, not really important, but definitely we have to mention, and the reason why you and I have become friends and got to spend more time together is we're both directors of ASCA, and I spoke about this last week. So just quickly to remind everyone, I've actually put the website back up as well, where to go. We have got our annual conference, our first ever virtual conference. Alex, so you're going to be our MC for the event. So I think for everyone that's watched the show today, it's never a dull moment with you, mate. There's always lovely tricks that come out. I can just see you coming through with your bag of tricks on the show. In fact, you don't have to bring a suitcase because you've got it all there for doing it virtually. But our ticket prices are $15. It's not a barrier to entry for anyone that wants to come. And see that.
And one of the things I want to teach people is that you can actually move the cursor on your iPhone just with your finger like that. And if you double tap on something, you can select text just like that, and you can see it's got cut, copy, and paste. Now, if I was to accidentally delete that text and the text is deleted, I can tap with 3 fingers on the screen. So just tap with 3 fingers, and when I do, when I tap with 3 fingers, you can see that there's an undo at the top, a cut, copy, and a paste. So if I undo on something, I then can see the cut, copy, and paste. And so I've got undo and redo, and that's just by tapping with 3 fingers. And that works anywhere that you have to. You can type in, whether it's messages or Facebook or the telephone dialer, anywhere. So, I mean, I'll be sharing tips like
and these
that.
are the things that, Alex, that you share, right? I remember last year at the live event,
people are blown away that all those things are possible. They don't know. I mean, look, you could have fallen into a coma in 2007 after having an iPhone for a few months and woken up today and used the iPhone 12 and you could use it perfectly. Everything that you knew still exists. But Apple keeps adding various things. Now, quickly, ASCA is the Australian Seniors Computer Clubs Association. As Brett would have said before, it's 22 years old. We've had 22 of these conferences over the years. They've usually been physical. But, we are all, I like to joke that we are all future seniors. And I joked the other day to some of the other board members that ever since I've been born, I've been helping people older than me. Although for the first few years, older people were helping me because he would have been a baby. But I've always been helping older people with technology and enjoying, showing people what that was like. When I was growing up, the VCRs in people's houses may have blinked 12 o'clock when I arrived from some sort of power outage, but they certainly weren't blinking 12 o'clock when I left. And not that we have, VCRs anymore, but the event is going to be from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Or 4:30. It sounds like a long time, but the sessions will be half an hour each. There'll be fun. There'll be actionable information. Buy a ticket for your, parents, uncles, aunts, your kids. Any age group yourself. Come along. A lot of
people that don't understand tech. It's a good. It's nothing's going to be complicated. It's about learning about tech.
That's right. You don't have to be a member of a computer club to come along to the conference. In fact, you may be inspired to go to a computer club because a lot of them are for people of all ages. And come and learn some stuff to teach your kids a few tricks. I show people the stuff about the phone that you mentioned last week, changing from the grid to the list of icons on your watch, which before iOS 7, you could tap the screen and change it. But now you've got to go into the settings of your phone. Now, just also quickly for the hand washing. The hand washing, you've got to go into the watch app of your phone and you've got to
scroll down. That's what I was trying to find.
You've got to tap on the watch app. Yeah. And you can see that it actually says down here, if I keep going, there's hand washing, right? And if I tap on the hand washing, you can have the notifications, and you can also have a hand washing reminder. Now that's very handy when you come home. After you've come home, and you've got to give location permission for that, but your watch will ding and it will say, "Hey, you're home. Do you want to go and wash your hands?" Because it's easy to forget. We're still not, even though we've had the year of COVID. You can come home and forget. So if you've got an Apple Watch 4 or above, turn it on.
I have to say that I really got to wrap up the show. But one of the things I loved about my BlackBerry is I had the opportunity to snooze my mail based on a location. So if I got a mail that was personal, but I was out running about for meetings and I just didn't have the time or wanted to even look at it, I could go snooze until home or whatever the location was. And the mail would disappear from my mailbox and only reappear as an unread message when I got home. So, using location services for the right reasons, there's a lot of really good stuff out there. And you probably find it's an Android feature somewhere as well. I know Apple doesn't have it on Mail. But I think you can do that inside Gmail. I'm not 100% sure. I'll give myself a task to look for that. But I love that feature. So location reminders, when the watch first came out, like, why do you need a watch? You got a phone. The watch definitely does remind you to do stuff. Even breathe. I know that sounds weird, but under the stressful day, my watch goes, dunk, breathe, and I stop and I breathe for 20 seconds. I mean, I'm breathing already. Otherwise, I'd be dead.
Yeah.
But
it's deep breath. It's deep
conscious awareness. Yeah, and you drop your heart rate by 3 or 4 points.
And one of the things that I haven't really properly investigated, and most people don't, but the shortcuts and the ability to program things, quite advanced things with the shortcuts. Through the shortcuts, you can actually set it up so that your watch changes its face based on the location that you are in. I was reading an article about how to do that.
Very cool. So if you're in sports mode or gym mode, that's very cool.
Yeah. If you arrive at the gym, it'll change to a gym watch face. If you arrive somewhere else, it'll change to a different watch face. And yes, you've got to set that up. And yes, it's not as simple as just saying, "Oh, Siri, change my watch face." Well, maybe it is, but certainly it's something you can do. There are instructions on how to do that. And if there isn't an app that changes your mail settings, then somebody can make one if it doesn't already exist. And Nokia used to be able to allow you to set by the different times of the day what sort of ringtone you would have, or whether
right.
there'd be a ringtone at all. And that's something that you haven't had on iPhone. But again, this is probably something you can set up through shortcuts. And look, the people say, oh, you know, things are saturated. We've got too much advancement. I mean, in 1895, the guy who ran the patent office said, oh, everything's been invented. Well, BS, clearly BS. And so there's always something new and different that hasn't been developed yet. And the developers out there, you know, coming up with great ideas can think about it. But look, I know you've got to go. Thank you so much for
I got to ring it off,
me onto
mate.
the show.
So
yeah, hopefully
quickly tell us, where do we find you? Where's your website?
Well, just go to itwire.com. I do have my own personal site, but itwire.com is where all the technology is. Go to ascca.org.au, ascca.org.au. Yep, to purchase a $15 ticket. You know, ASCA is a non-profit association, a registered charity. No one's getting paid for this. We're all doing it voluntarily. We're going to have great speakers: Google, myself, Charlie Brown, Scott Hollier, talking about accessibility. We'll have other clubs. There'll be prizes. There'll be quizzes. There'll be, you know, all sorts of great stuff. And please come and support the technology community and you know, help seniors get the best out of living their best online life.
Sounds awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. I really do appreciate it. It's always good to catch up. Anyway, it's nice if we can do it on the show as well. Alex, thank you. Yeah, guys, please support us. You know, you will learn something. I guarantee it. I'll give you your $15 back if you don't learn something from the show. There we go. So
there's a guarantee.
Until next time, keep your screens clean and your knobs shiny. Cheers.